Pacifica. Easter Island, Isla de Pascua. This Pacific Ocean island is owned by Chile and called the belly button of the world. Natives refer to the island, themselves, and their language as Rapa Nui. Easter Island is home to 887 large moai statues. The moai are said to represent ancestors watching over the island. Rapa Nui people are Polynesian and share much in common with distant islands. Among the many petroglyphs of Easter Island are the images of the flying gods called Tangata Manu, man-birds. The same imagery is found in Hawaii. Other petroglyphs served as totems and memorials. The chief god of the Tangata Manu is Makemake, the creator of humans. Ahu are large stone platforms built at shoreline cliffs. They were built with ramps that led to a paved clearing or plaza called a marae. The plaza was a place for ceremonies. The oracles or shamans are called iwi atua. In other parts of Polynesia, such as New Zealand, Samoa, Tonga, and Tahiti, the ahu is a sacred shrine or a central stone altar within the marae plaza. In Tahiti, different marae are dedicated to different gods. Tahitians also attest that the marae temple is a portal between the realm of the gods, Po, and the realm of mortals, Ao. Some of the stone walls on Easter Island resemble ancient stonework found around the world. The large polygonal-shaped stones fit perfectly together and remain intact without the use of mortar. This style of masonry is found at sites like the Tiwanaku Sun Gate in Bolivia, Machu Picchu, Greece, the Middle East, Asia, etc. Again, these stones cannot be carbon dated. Scientists have dated the island's stonework to as far back as 15,000 BCE, others to only 100 BCE. Wood-carved figurines have been found on the island that are also called moai. They represent venerated ancestors that have passed on. These moai have the same purpose as the carved tiki totems found on other islands. Hawaii. The Polynesian peoples are part of the greater Austronesian peoples who originated in southern Asia. Their culture, linguistics, and much of their genetics stem from the indigenous peoples of Taiwan. Before the Dutch and the Han Chinese invaded Taiwan in the 1600s, it was inhabited by native tribes, which today only constitute 2% of the population. 3,500 years ago, some of the indigenous people left the island of Taiwan and spread to the Philippines, Malaysia, Indonesia, and on to Polynesia. The indigenous groups along the southern coast of Asia came from eastern India. They migrated in various waves to the Indonesian, East Indian islands and beyond. The islanders traded with China and India and spread as far west as Madagascar off of Africa. Polynesians have a small admixture of genetics from the Papuan tribes who came from Africa. While we are discussing genetic connections and origins, it is interesting to note that the idea for Homo erectus began when a Dutchman in the late 1800s found a tooth, a leg bone, and a piece of a skull cap in Indonesia. From these fragments, along with a few more teeth and skull caps, the missing link between man and ape was supposedly discovered. Having only the top of a skull, Eugene Dubois drew the rest from his imagination, and it conveniently looked like something in between a human and an ape. He theorized that evolution progresses in leaps, with the brain doubling in size each time. He, of course, was wrong. Neanderthals had larger brains than we do. The humanoid bones that are found, some dating to 2 million years ago, others 1 million, modern Homo sapiens from 40,000 years ago, and modern civilization from 5 to 12,000 years ago, are different cycles of human beings. Cycles progress till they leave the planet, and we find only traces of their bones and stone walls. they become known to the next cycle as the gods and creators. The genetic difference between two given humans today is 0.1%. The difference between humans and chimpanzees is 1.5%. So we are closely related, but a human and a dog differ only by 16%, and a human and a banana share 50% of the same genetics. All living things are related genetically, but to say that humans came from apes, dogs, or bananas is incorrect. People do evolve and progress, but the theory that humans came from apes and that black Africans are their close relatives is racist and wrong. While it is interesting to study the cultures and societies of Earth, it is important to remember that we are all members of the human race. It is also important to understand that cultures did not just travel in one direction at one time. They all interacted back and forth at various times. Genetics show that all humans on Earth today are descended from the same grandparents from the 14th century BCE. In other words, whether from Africa, Asia, Australia, America, or Europe, we are all cousins from, at most, 3,500 years ago. Polynesians of Hawaii were in contact with the people of the Aleutian Islands of Alaska before Europeans took them over. Knowing that Polynesians sailed there, and to Tahiti, Hawaii, and Easter Island, it is ridiculous to suppose that they didn't make it to the mainland of the Americas. Being that Polynesians originated from South Asia, India, and that 3 major waves of Asians populated the Americas, maybe indigenous Americans are from India after all. However, they are no more Indian than the Arabs. Arab tribes are said to be Semitic, but genetics show that Jews are more closely related to Indo-European Turks than to Arabs. Another ridiculous theory concocted by scientists was that races came about as the result of adaptation to sunlight. When they found that the changes were too abrupt for the Darwinian model, it was changed to eye, hair, and skin color, as well as facial features and skeletal build, changed because of the food people were eating. This too will prove to be false. According to ancient Hawaiians, and all other ancient lands, humans were made by a god from the sky. Using the basic genetic code for life on Earth, the gods created domesticated fruits and grains, as well as domesticated farm animals and humans. Thus, we are GMOs, genetically modified organisms. It may be that we are modified primates. An early version of humans were androgynous, like seedless watermelons, but then they were designed to procreate and multiply. The 3 or 4 races that the gods created in our age have mixed, multiplied, and spread across the earth, even to the isles of the sea. Maori. New Zealand is believed to have been populated by various waves of Polynesian migration. Maori culture, including language and religion, is quite similar to the rest of the isles of the Pacific Ocean. Their mythology is told through Wakapapa, which is the telling of the genealogy of the people from the creation of the universe to the elements of nature on Earth, to the generations of the gods, to mortal chiefs, to modern people. This, of course, is the same story that has been found around the world. We see it in the Greek myths as told by Hesiod, in the Kojiki of Japan, the Popol Vuh of America, etc. The myths attempt to explain how all things are related and connected. Australia. During the last ice age, the sea levels were lower and Australia, Tasmania, and New Guinea were one landmass. People came out of Africa to Asia and took boats to this landmass. As water levels rose, Papuans were separated from Aboriginals. Subsequently, many Aboriginal tribes and languages were formed. Some art and pictograms were used, but most of the culture was preserved through oral history. The various parts of the land are held as sacred, and many locations are associated with divine beings or revered ancestors. It is taught that humans come and go, but the land stays and should be respected. As in other ancient cultures, Aboriginal mythology and cosmology contains deities that act like humans, while being associated with aspects of nature. One such deity that is common across the continent is the rainbow serpent. The large serpent has many names, and it is the dark region across the Milky Way, as well as rainbows, rivers, and waterholes. Another is Algira, who is the entirety of the eternal universe. Like all ancient humans, Aboriginals were proficient in music, dance, visual art, sports, agriculture, astronomy, religious rituals and ceremonies, and so on. The healers and history tellers of the West are called Ngankira. They are the priests or shamans of that land. Some Aboriginal ceremonial stories that are portrayed through song and dance are shown to outsiders, but some are kept secret.